Captain Ji-woo pulled his helmet tight and checked the oxygen levels one more time. The old space station floating in front of their ship looked like a dead whale drifting in the black ocean of space. Kepler 442 had been abandoned for over 30 years, but salvage reports said there might be valuable tech still inside. "Looks pretty beat up from here," said Hoonwoo over the radio. The young engineer was always careful about these old stations. Too many of them had problems with their life support or structural damage. "Are you sure we want to go in there, Captain?" Ji-woo smiled inside his helmet. Hoonwoo was smart to be worried, but they needed this salvage job. Their ship needed repairs, and repairs cost money. "The scans show the station is stable. We'll be fine if we stick together and don't touch anything we don't understand." Naeon finished checking her medical kit and joined them at the airlock. The team medic was always ready for trouble. "My equipment shows no signs of life inside. Whatever happened here, it happened a long time ago." The three humans pushed off from their ship and floated across the empty space toward the station. Their magnetic boots clicked against the metal hull as they found the main entrance. The outer door was sealed, but not locked. Hunwoo worked on the manual override while Jiwoo kept watch. "Got it," Hunwoo said as the door opened with a loud grinding sound. "Air pressure is holding steady. Looks like the emergency systems are still working." They stepped inside and turned on their helmet lights. The corridor stretched out in front of them, dark and quiet. Their footsteps echoed in the empty hallways. Emergency lighting flickered on and off, casting strange shadows on the walls. "What kind of station was this?" Naeon asked as they walked deeper inside. "Research facility," Giwoo replied, reading from his scanner. They were studying energy patterns in deep space. The records say they found something interesting but then suddenly packed up and left. They moved through room after room, finding equipment that might be worth salvaging. Most of it was too old or damaged to be valuable, but Hoonwoo found some power cells that still held a charge. They were loading them into their carry bags when they heard it. A sound, very quiet, very weak, but definitely a sound. "Did you hear that?" Naeon stopped walking and held up her hand. They all stood still and listened. For a moment there was nothing but the hum of the station's failing life support. Then they heard it again, a soft whimpering sound, like something small and hurt. "It's coming from that direction." Jiwoo pointed down a corridor they hadn't explored. "Yet, could be a trapped animal," Hyunwoo said. Some stations kept pets or lab animals. They followed the sound through several more corridors until they reached a heavy metal door, marked with warning signs. The door was sealed shut with an electronic lock that had lost power years ago. "The sound is coming from in there." Naeon pressed her helmet against the door. "Something is definitely alive in that room." Hyunwoo studied the lock mechanism. "I can get this open, but it'll take some time. The manual override is pretty complicated." "Do it," Giwoo said, without hesitation. "Whatever is in there has been trapped for who knows how long." While Hoonwoo worked on the door, the whimpering sound continued. It was getting weaker, as if whatever was making it was running out of strength. Naeon prepared her medical equipment, not knowing what they might find. "Almost got it," Hyunwoo muttered as he worked with his tools. "These old systems are tricky, but the design is similar to current models." The door finally opened with a loud hiss of escaping air. Cold air rushed out, much colder than the rest of the station. Their helmet lights swept across the room, revealing what looked like a storage area with metal containers stacked against the walls. The whimpering was louder now, and definitely coming from somewhere inside the room. Their Naeon pointed to a corner where several containers had fallen over. Behind those boxes, they carefully moved the containers aside, and their lights fell on something that made them all stop and stare. It was small, about the size of a dog, but unlike any animal they had ever seen. Its body was covered in what looked like fur, but the fur seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that caught their lights and reflected them back in beautiful patterns. The creature was curled up in a tight ball, shivering in the cold. "What is that?" Hyunwoo whispered Dot as they watched. The crystal fur began to glow with a very faint light, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat, but the light was weak and getting weaker. "It's dying," Naeon said, immediately switching into medic mode. She knelt down beside the creature and carefully reached out to touch it. "Look at how thin it is. This poor thing has been starving." The creature opened its eyes at her touch. The eyes were large and dark, filled with intelligence and pain. It looked at the three humans with what could only be described as hope. "We have to help it," Jiwoo said. Captain Hyunwoo looked worried. "We don't know what this thing is. It could be dangerous. It could carry diseases. Protocol says we should report this to the authorities and let them handle it." Naeon was already examining the creature with her medical scanner. "It's not dangerous. Look at it, Hyunwoo. It can barely lift its head, and my scanner isn't picking up any harmful bacteria or viruses." The creature made another weak whimpering sound and tried to move closer to Naeon's warm hand. Jiwoo looked at his crew, and then at the dying creature. Protocol was important, but some things were more important than protocol. "We're taking it with us." Captain Hyunwoo started to protest. "That's an order," Jiwoo said firmly. "We're not leaving this creature here to die alone." Load up whatever salvage we've found. We're heading back to the ship. Nayeon carefully lifted the creature, surprised by how light it was. The crystal fur felt warm despite the cold room, and the faint glow pulsed, a little stronger at her touch. "Don't worry, little one," she whispered to it. "You're safe now. We're going to take care of you." As they made their way back through the empty station, the creature nestled against Nayeon's chest, its weak glow reflecting off her helmet visor. None of them knew that this single act of kindness would change everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. The rescue had begun. The moment they got back to their ship, Nayeon rushed the dying creature to the medical bay. The small room wasn't designed for alien lifeforms, but it would have to do. She placed the creature gently on the examination table and immediately began checking its vital signs. "This is bad," she said, studying the readings on her scanner. "Its body temperature is way too low, and I can barely detect a pulse. Whatever this thing normally eats, it hasn't had any for a very long time." Jiwoo stood beside her, watching the creature's crystal fur pulse with that weak, fading light. "Can you save it?" "I don't know," Nayeon admitted. "I've never seen anything like this before. My medical training covered basic alien physiology, but this is completely different from anything in the database." Hunwoo appeared in the doorway, still wearing his work gloves. "Captain, I've secured all the salvage, but we need to talk. What we're doing here could get us in serious trouble." "Not now, Hyunwoo," Jiwoo said, without taking his eyes off the creature. "Yes, now," Hyunwoo insisted, stepping into the medical bay. "Do you know what the regulations say about bringing unknown alien life forms onto human ships? We could lose our salvage license. We could go to prison. The health department alone will shut us down for months." Nayeon looked up from her work. "Hyunwoo, this creature is dying. We can worry about regulations later." "That's exactly the problem," Hyunwoo said, running his hands through his hair. "We should have contacted the authorities immediately. They have facilities for this kind of thing. They have experts. Experts who would take 3 days just to get here." Giwoo pointed out. "Look at it, Hyunwoo. It doesn't have 3 days. It might not have 3 hours." As if to prove his point, the creature's glow flickered and dimmed even more. Its breathing became more shallow and irregular. "I need to get some nutrients into it," Nayeon said, preparing an IV line. "But I don't know what's safe to give it." "You could poison it," Hunhwa warned. "It's already dying," she replied sharply. "At least this way we're trying to help." She carefully inserted the 4 needle and started a basic glucose solution. The creature's eyes opened at the slight pain, but it didn't try to pull away. Instead, it looked at her with those large, intelligent eyes that seemed to understand what she was trying to do. "Look at those eyes," Jiwoo said quietly. "That's not just an enema. There's real intelligence there." Hyunwoo moved closer to the examination table, despite his concerns. "The fur is incredible. It's like living crystal. How does something like this evolve?" "Maybe it didn't evolve," Nayeon suggested as she monitored the foredrip. "Maybe it was created. Some of the advanced alien races are known to genetically engineer their pets, or their children," Jiwoo added thoughtfully. The creature's glow pulsed a little stronger after a few minutes of receiving the glucose solution. "It wasn't much of an improvement, but it was something. The glucose is helping a little," Nayeon reported. "But it's not enough. This creature needs something specific, something its body is designed to process." "What do we know about its biology?" Jiwoo asked. Nayeon studied her scanner readings. "Its body temperature is naturally much higher than ours. The crystal fur seems to conduct and store energy somehow. Its heart rate is faster than most mammals, but slower than most reptiles. It's like a combination of different evolutionary pods." "Energy storage," Hunwoo said, suddenly interested. "What if it doesn't eat food the way we do? What if it feeds on energy directly?" "You mean like electricity?" Nayeon asked. "Maybe, or heat, or light, or some other kind of energy. We haven't thought of." The creature made a soft sound, almost like it was trying to communicate. Its glow pulsed in a pattern that seemed too regular to be random. "It's trying to tell us something," Jiwoo observed. Nayeon adjusted the medical scanner to different settings, trying to learn more about the creature's unique physiology. "The fur isn't just crystal, it's some kind of organic material that has crystalline properties. And there are structures under the skin that look like they might store or channel energy. Like biological batteries," Hyunwoo said. "Exactly. But they're all nearly empty." Jiwoo made a decision. "Hyunwoo, can you rig up some kind of energy source? Something safe that we can use to try feeding it energy instead of regular food." Captain Hyunwoo started to protest again. "That's an order," Jiwoo said firmly. "This creature was left to die alone on that station. Whatever the regulations say, I'm not going to let that happen while it's under our care." Hyunwoo sighed, but nodded. "I'll see what I can do. But if this goes wrong, if we hurt it by accident, that's on all of us." "We're already hurting it by doing nothing," Nayeon pointed out. "At least this way we're trying." While Hyunwoo went to gather equipment, Nayeon continued monitoring the creature. The glucose was keeping it stable, but just barely. She could see that it was still getting weaker. "Hang on, little one, she whispered to it. We're going to figure this out. The creature's eyes focused on her face, and for a moment she could swear it understood every word. It made another soft sound, and the pattern of light in its fur pulsed. In what might have been gratitude, Hyun-woo returned with an armload of equipment. I can build a variable energy emitter. We can try different frequencies and intensities until we find something it responds to. But Captain, if the authorities find out about this, then we'll deal with that when it happens, Gi-woo said. Right now, our priority is saving a life. Lives, Naeon corrected, looking at the creature's intelligent eyes. I don't think this is just an animal, Ji-woo. I think we're trying to save a person. The three humans looked at each other, realizing the full weight of what they were attempting. They weren't just breaking regulations about alien quarantine. They were making first contact with a new intelligent species, and they were doing it in their tiny medical bay with makeshift equipment and hope. Well then, Ji-woo said after a moment, we better not mess this up. Hyun-woo began assembling his energy emitter, while Naeon continued to monitor their patient. The creature watched them work with those remarkable eyes, its weak glow pulsing. In what they were starting to recognize as patterns of communication, none of them slept that night. The rescue was just beginning. Hyun-woo had been working for 6 straight hours, and his hands were shaking from exhaustion. The energy emitter he was building looked like a mess of wires and circuits, but it was their best hope of saving the dying creature. How's it looking? Ji-woo asked, bringing him a cup of coffee. Almost ready, Hyun-woo replied, wiping sweat from his forehead. I've rigged it to produce different types of energy waves. Light, heat, electromagnetic radiation, even some frequencies we use for ship communications. If this creature feeds on energy, one of these should work. In the medical bay, Naeon had not left the creature's side. She had named it Bitna in her mind, though she hadn't told the others yet. The name meant to shine in Korean, and it seemed perfect for something with such beautiful crystal fur. Its pulse is getting weaker. She called out to the others. Whatever, we're going to try. We need to do it soon. Bitna's glow had faded to almost nothing. The patterns in its fur that had seemed so vibrant when they first found it were now barely visible. Its breathing was so shallow that Naeon had to watch closely to see if its chest was still moving. Ready? Hyun-woo announced, carrying his makeshift device into the medical bay. But I have to warn you, this is completely experimental. I have no idea what any of these energy types will do to it. What's the worst that could happen? Ji-woo asked. We could accidentally cook it, or give it some kind of energy poisoning, or cause its crystal fur to explode. Hyun-woo set up the emitter on a nearby table. Like I said, this is it's dying anyway, Naeon said softly. At least this gives it a chance. She looked down at Bitna, whose eyes were closed now. I'm sorry, little one. We're going to try something that might hurt, but we have to try. Hyun-woo started with the lowest setting, producing a gentle warm light, similar to sunlight. He aimed it at the creature and waited. Nothing happened for several seconds. Then Bitna's eyes opened slightly. There's a response, Naeon said, checking her scanner. Heart rate increased just a little. Good sign. Hyun-woo adjusted the controls. Let me try a different frequency. He switched to infrared heat. This time Bitna's crystal fur seemed to absorb the energy, but there was no visible change in its condition. Maybe something stronger, Gi-woo suggested. Patience, Hyun-woo replied. If we go too fast, we could hurt it. He tried ultraviolet light. Next, the moment the UV rays hit Bitna's fur, something remarkable happened. The crystals began to glow, faintly at first, then brighter. The creature's breathing became deeper and more regular. That's it, Naeon said excitedly. Its vital signs are improving. The UV radiation is working. But after a few minutes, the improvement stopped. Bitna was stable, but still very weak. It's not enough, Naeon observed. The UV light helped, but it's not the main thing it needs. Hyun-woo continued experimenting with different energy types. Radio waves made the creature's fur shimmer, but didn't improve its health. Microwave radiation seemed to make it uncomfortable, so he quickly switched that off. Wait, Gi-woo said, studying the readings on Naeon's medical scanner. Look at these energy patterns. The creature's body is designed to process multiple types of energy at the same time, like a combination, Hyun-woo asked. Exactly, maybe it doesn't just eat one type of energy. Maybe it needs several different kinds, like how we need different vitamins and minerals. This gave Hyun-woo an idea. He began adjusting his emitter to produce multiple energy frequencies simultaneously. UV light, infrared heat, and a low-level electromagnetic field all at the same time. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Bitna's crystal fur began to glow brightly, the patterns becoming clear and beautiful. Its breathing strengthened, and it opened its eyes fully for the first time since they found it. It's working, Naeon said, unable to hide her excitement. All its vital signs are improving rapidly. Bitna tried to lift its head, looking around the medical bay with curiosity rather than pain. When its gaze fell on Naeon, it made a soft sound that was completely different from the weak whimpering they had heard before. This sound was almost musical. Hello there, Naeon said gently. feeling better. In response, Bitna's fur began to pulse in complex patterns. The colors shifted from blue to green to gold, creating designs that were clearly not random. Look at that, Ji-woo breathed. It's trying to communicate. The patterns are mathematical, Hyun-woo observed, studying the displays on his energy emitter. Each color change corresponds to a specific energy frequency. It's not just pretty lights, it's language. Over the next few hours, they took turns monitoring Bitna while the others rested. The creature grew stronger, steadily, and its attempts at communication became more complex. It seemed particularly interested in the equipment around the medical bay, its fur patterns changing as it examined each device. I think it's studying us, Nayeon said during her watch. Look how it focuses on everything we do. Bitna had been watching her check the medical scanner, and now its fur was displaying patterns that looked remarkably similar to the readouts on the screen. It's mimicking the scanner display. She realized it understands what the numbers mean. When Ji-woo took over the watch, he decided to try an experiment. He pulled up a star chart on his tablet, showing their current location in space. Bitna immediately became very excited, its fur blazing with bright patterns. I think it recognizes where we are, Ji-woo told the others when they returned. When I showed it the star chart, it practically lit up the whole room. That settles it, Nayeon said. This isn't just an intelligent animal. This is a person, a child, maybe, from some advanced alien species. Which makes what happened to it even worse. Hyun-woo added grimly. Someone left a child to die alone on that station. But why? Ji-woo wondered. If this species is advanced enough for space travel, why would they abandon one of their own? They didn't have answers yet, but they were determined to keep Bitna safe while they figured things out. The creature had been close to death when they found it, but human stubbornness and ingenuity had brought it back from the edge. We need to contact Doyeon, Ji-woo decided. Doyeon was a xenobiologist back on Earth who specialized in alien lifeforms. If anyone can help us understand what we're dealing with, it's him. What about the regulations? Hyun-woo asked. We'll worry about that later, Ji-woo replied. Right now, we have a young alien under our protection, and we're going to make sure it stays safe and healthy. Bitna looked up at them with those large, intelligent eyes, its fur glowing softly with what they were beginning to understand was contentment. The fight for its life was over. Now the real adventure could begin. 3 days had passed since they saved the alien creature, and Bitna was growing stronger every hour. Nayeon had finally told the others what she had been calling it, and the name stuck immediately. Bitna seemed to like it too, its fur glowing brighter whenever someone said the name. Dr. Do-yoon's face appeared on the communication screen, his eyes wide with amazement as he studied the video feed from their ship. The xenobiologist had been contacted through encrypted channels, away from official government oversight. This is incredible, Do-yoon said, watching Bitna create complex light patterns in its fur. In 30 years of studying alien life, I've never seen anything like this. The biological structure alone should be impossible. What do you think it is? Ji-woo asked. Based on what you've shown me, I believe you've discovered a juvenile member of an energy-based species. The crystal fur isn't just for show. It's a sophisticated organ for processing and storing different types of energy. Bitna was sitting on the medical table, listening to the conversation with obvious interest. When Dojeon spoke, it tilted its head in a very human-like gesture of curiosity. Look at that, Dojeon said. It understands we're talking about it. The intelligence level is remarkable. Can you tell us anything about its species? Nayeon asked. Not specifically, but I can make some educated guesses. Energy-based lifeforms are extremely rare. Most species that evolve this kind of biology are very advanced, often thousands of years ahead of us technologically. Then why was it abandoned? Hyunwoo asked. Do-hyun paused, considering the question. That's what worries me. Advanced species don't usually abandon their young unless something is seriously wrong. As if understanding the conversation, Bitna began creating new patterns in its fur. These were different from the mathematical sequences they had seen before. The colors were darker, more complex, and seemed to tell a story of sadness. It's trying to tell us something, Nayeon said softly. Over the next few hours, Bitna worked to communicate its story through the light patterns. It was slow and difficult, but gradually the humans began to understand. Bitna showed them images of its homeworld, a place of pure energy where beings like itself lived as creatures of light. It's showing us its family, Ji-woo realized, watching the beautiful patterns flow across Bitna's fur. But then the patterns changed, becoming confused and chaotic. Bitna showed them how it was different from the others of its kind. While they could exist as pure energy, Bitna needed a physical form. While they could travel through space as light itself, Bitna needed a ship. It's not like the others, Nayeon said, her heart breaking as she understood. It was born different. The patterns in Bitna's fur grew darker, showing how its family had tried to help it become like them, but nothing worked. Bitna remained trapped in physical form, unable to transform into pure energy like the rest of its species. They thought it was broken, Hyunwoo said angrily. They gave up on it. Bitna's fur flashed with what could only be described as agreement. Then it showed them the space station where they had found it. Its family had left it there, believing it would be better to let it die quickly rather than suffer a life of being different. That's horrible, Neon said, reaching out to gently touch Bitna's fur. You're not broken, you're just different. In response, Bitna's fur began to glow with warm golden light. The patterns became beautiful again, showing gratitude and something that looked very much like love. It's bonding with us, Dojan observed, through the communication link. This is extraordinary. You're witnessing the first recorded case of an energy-based life form forming emotional attachments to biological beings. Over the following days, Bitna became more active and playful. It explored every part of the ship, always accompanied by one of the crew members. Its curiosity was endless, and it seemed to understand technology in ways that amazed even Hyunwoo. Watch this, Hyunwoo said, showing the others how Bitna could make the ship's lights brighten or dim just by touching them. It's interfacing directly with our electrical systems. Is that safe? Giwoo asked. More than safe. It's actually improving our power efficiency. The ship is running better than it has in years. Bitna had also become fascinated with Neon's medical equipment. It would sit quietly while she worked, its fur displaying patterns that seemed to mirror the readings on her scanners. I think it's learning, Naehyun said. Yesterday it showed me a pattern that looked exactly like a human heartbeat. It's studying our biology. And helping with repairs, Hyunwoo added. It can sense problems in the ship's systems before our diagnostic equipment even detects them. But it was with Giwoo that Bitna showed its most remarkable ability. When the captain was plotting their course through space, Bitna would create incredibly detailed star maps in its fur, showing not just where they were, but where they had been and where they were going. It has perfect spatial memory. Giwoo marveled. It can remember every star system we've passed through, every course correction we've made. Its species probably navigates by sensing energy patterns in space, Doyen explained during one of their conversations. To them, the universe is a map of energy flows and gravitational fields. As the days passed, it became clear that Bitna was not just recovering from its near-death experience, it was thriving. The creature that its own species had considered defective was proving to be incredibly gifted in ways they had never imagined. It's not broken, Naehyun said one evening as she watched Bitna play with a holographic display, creating beautiful light sculptures in the air. It's just different. And maybe that difference is what makes it special. Bitna looked up at her and created a pattern that had become familiar to all of them. It was the pattern it used to say thank you and I love you at the same time. We need to think about what happens next, Giwoo said. We can't keep this secret forever. Eventually, someone is going to find out about Bitna. Then we make sure we're ready. Hyunwoo said, this little one has been through enough. We're not going to let anyone hurt it. Bitna's fur glowed softly as it settled down to rest. Surrounded by the 3 humans who had saved its life, it had found something its own species had never given it. Acceptance, love, and a family that valued it for who it was. Not who they thought it should be, but their peaceful time together was about to be interrupted. Unknown to them, Bitna's family had been searching for it, and they were getting closer to finding their ship. 2 weeks had passed since they rescued Bitna, and life aboard the ship had settled into a comfortable routine. The small alien had become a true member of their crew, and each day brought new discoveries about its remarkable abilities. Hyunwoo was the first to notice that Bitna had an almost magical understanding of technology. While he was repairing a faulty power coupling, Bitna had approached and simply touched the broken component with one of its crystal-tipped appendages. The coupling immediately began working perfectly. How did you know how to fix that? Hyunwoo asked, though he knew Bitna couldn't answer in words. In response, Bitna's fur lit up with patterns that looked exactly like the electrical schematic for the power coupling. But it wasn't just copying what it had seen. The pattern showed improvements, ways to make the system more efficient and reliable. You can see the energy flow, Hyunwoo realized. To you, our technology is like a map of light and power. From that day forward, Bitna became Hyunwoo's constant companion during repairs. The little alien could sense problems before they became serious, guiding Hyunwoo to components that needed attention. What used to take hours now took minutes, and their ship was running better than ever. It's like having a living diagnostic computer, Hyunwoo told the others. But better, because it actually cares about keeping us safe. Naehyun discovered Bitna's medical abilities quite by accident. She had cut her hand while organizing her equipment, and before she could reach for the first aid kit, Bitna was beside her, its fur glowing with concern. The small alien gently touched the cut with its fur, and immediately Naehyun felt a warm tingling sensation. When Bitna moved away, the wound had stopped bleeding and was already beginning to heal. Did you just heal me? Naehyun asked in amazement. Bitna's fur displayed patterns that seemed to show the structure of human cells, the flow of blood, the process of healing. It had somehow accelerated her body's natural repair mechanisms. This is incredible, she said, examining her hand. The cut that should have taken days to heal was already forming new skin. From then on, Bitna would watch carefully whenever Nahian was doing medical work. It seemed to understand that healing was important, and it wanted to learn everything it could about taking care of living beings. It has such a gentle nature, Nahan observed. For all its advanced abilities, it just wants to help and take care of others. But it was with Captain Jiwoo that Bitna formed the deepest connection. While Hyunwoo represented knowledge and Nayeon represented care, Jiwoo represented something equally important, leadership and protection. Bitna would often sit with Jiwoo on the bridge, watching as he navigated through space. The alien's understanding of stellar navigation was beyond anything in human databases. It could sense gravitational fields, energy patterns, and stellar winds in ways that made conventional navigation seem primitive. "Show me the safest route to the Kepler system," Jiwoo said one day, more out of curiosity than need. Bitna's entire body became a three-dimensional star chart, showing not just the stars and planets, but the invisible forces that flowed between them. The route it suggested would save them 2 days of travel time while avoiding a dangerous solar storm that their sensors hadn't even detected yet. "You're not just intelligent," Jiwoo said in wonder. "You're wise. You understand things that we're only beginning to learn." But Bitna's gifts went beyond practical abilities. The little alien had brought something to their ship that none of them had realized they were missing: joy. Its playful nature and obvious affection for its human family had changed the entire atmosphere aboard their vessel. "Remember how quiet it used to be?" Nahian asked one evening as she watched Bitna create beautiful light patterns just for fun. "Now it feels like a real home." "It's brought us together too," Hanwoo added. "We work better as a team now. We take better care of each other." Jiwoo nodded. "Bitna has taught us something important about what it means to be a family. It's not about being the same, it's about accepting and caring for each other's differences." If understanding the conversation, Bitna moved to the center of their small group and began creating the most beautiful light display they had ever seen. The patterns showed all of them together, their individual strengths combining to create something greater than the sum of its parts. "It sees us as family," Nayeon said softly. "We're not just its rescuers anymore, we're its chosen family." The weeks that followed were the happiest any of them could remember. Bitna had not only recovered completely from its near-death experience, but it had grown larger and more vibrant. Its fur now glowed with rich, deep colors that seemed to reflect its contentment and health. But more importantly, it had begun to develop its own unique personality. Unlike its energy-based relatives who existed as pure thought and light, Bitna had learned to appreciate physical experiences. It loved the taste of the minerals they had learned to provide for its diet. It enjoyed the feeling of being petted and hugged. It was fascinated by music and would create light shows that danced in perfect harmony with whatever songs they played. "It's becoming something new," Dr. Doyen observed during one of their regular communications. "Not fully energy-based, like its original species, but not biological like us either. It's evolving into something that bridges both worlds." "Is that good or bad?" Jiwoo asked. "I think it's wonderful," Doyen replied. "Bitna represents a new form of life, one that combines the best of both biological and energy-based existence. It's not broken or defective. It's the next step in evolution." One evening, as they were traveling through a particularly beautiful nebula, Bitna surprised them all by creating its most complex communication yet. The patterns in its fur formed words, actual human words, spelled out in light. "Thank you, family," the light said, clear and unmistakable. "You learned our language," Nayeon said, tears forming in her eyes. "Wanted to tell you," Bitna's fur continued, the words forming slowly but surely. "Love you all. Happy here, safe here. We love you too," Jiwoo said, his voice thick with emotion. But their moment of joy was interrupted by an alarm from the ship's sensors. Something large was approaching them, something that didn't appear on any of their star charts. "What is that?" Hyunwoo asked, studying the readings. Before anyone could answer, Bitna's fur went completely dark, then blazed with patterns they had never seen before. The little alien was afraid, more afraid than they had ever seen it. "Bitna, what's wrong?" Nayeon asked. The alien's fur formed words again, but these words made their blood run cold. "Family coming," Bitna's light said. "They found me." Through the view screen, they could see lights approaching in the distance. Beautiful, pure lights that moved through space without any visible ships or technology. Bitna's people had come, and none of them knew what that would mean for their small, happy family, though the bond they had formed was about to be tested in ways they never imagined. The lights grew brighter as they approached, and soon the humans could see that they weren't ships at all. They were beings of pure energy, traveling through space as living light. There were dozens of them, moving in perfect formation toward the human vessel. Bitna was trembling, its crystal fur flickering between fear and sadness. It pressed close to Nayeon, seeking comfort from the human who had first cared for it. "It's going to be okay," Nayeon whispered, though she wasn't sure she believed it herself. The energy beings stopped just outside the ship, forming a circle around them. Then, without warning, a voice filled the bridge. It wasn't coming through their communication system. Instead, it seemed to speak directly into their minds. Return our offspring to us immediately, the voice commanded. It was cold and alien, nothing like the warm personality they had come to know in Bitna. Jiwoo stepped forward, even though he knew the beings couldn't see him in any traditional sense. We rescued your child from an abandoned space station. It was dying? The defective one was left to die by our decision. Another voice replied, you had no right to interfere with our judgment. Defective, Hyun, Wu said angrily. Bitna isn't defective. It's one of the most remarkable beings we've ever met. You do not understand. A third voice joined the conversation. The offspring cannot survive in our realm. It is trapped in physical form, unable to join with the eternal light of our people. Its existence is an aberration. Bitna's fur began to glow with words, translating for its human family. They call me broken. The light said, they say I bring shame to our kind. That's not true, Naeon said firmly. You're not broken. You're different, and different can be wonderful. The energy beings seemed confused by this concept. Different is failure. They responded, our species has achieved perfection through unity. All must be the same, or all suffer. But Bitna has abilities that even you don't have, Jiwoo argued. It can interface with technology, heal living beings, navigate space in ways we never imagined possible. These are meaningless tricks, the voices dismissed. They are not the pure existence of energy that defines our people. Bitna's communication became more urgent. They want to take me, it's first spelled out, but not to live with them. They want to end my suffering by ending my life. The humans were horrified. These advanced beings, for all their technology and evolution, couldn't accept that one of their own might be different and still valuable. You're not taking Bitna anywhere, Jiwoo said with determination. It's part of our family now. Your attachment is irrelevant, the energy beings replied. You are primitive biological forms. You cannot understand the burden of caring for a defective offspring. We understand perfectly, Naeon said, her anger growing. We understand that you abandoned a child because it didn't fit your idea of perfection. Bitna moved to the center of the bridge and began creating the most complex light display it had ever produced. Its entire body became a living artwork, showing the energy beings everything that had happened since the humans found it. It showed them the love and care it had received, the way it had been accepted for who it was rather than rejected for who it wasn't. It demonstrated its abilities, proving that its differences had made it stronger, not weaker. Look at what your child has become, Jiwoo said as Bitna's display continued. It's not broken, it's evolved. It's found a way to be something new and wonderful. For the first time, the energy beings were silent. They were studying Bitna's display, seeing their offspring through new eyes. The biological forms have taught it to use its differences as strengths. One voice finally admitted, impossible. Another argued, it is still trapped in physical form. It still cannot join the eternal dance of our people. Maybe it doesn't need to, Hainwu suggested. Maybe there's more than one way to be perfect. Bitna's light patterns changed, becoming even more beautiful and complex. It was showing its family something they had never seen before, what it looked like when energy and matter worked together in harmony. Its physical form wasn't a limitation. It was a bridge between two different kinds of existence. I am happy, Bitna's fur spelled out in bright, clear letters. I am loved. I am home. But you are not what you were meant to be, the energy beings insisted. Maybe I'm what I was meant to become. Bitna replied through its lights. Dr. Doyen's voice came through the communication system. He had been listening to everything. What if Bitna represents the next step in your evolution? He suggested, pure energy is powerful, but it has limitations. Bitna can exist in both the energy realm and the physical realm. It can interact with both forms of life. You think our offspring is superior to us? The energy beings sounded offended. Not superior, Jiwoo said carefully, just different. And maybe that difference is exactly what both our species need. Bitna began showing them more complex patterns, demonstrating how it had learned to heal, to repair technology, to navigate space using both energy senses and physical instruments. It had become something that neither pure energy beings nor biological forms could achieve alone. It has found a way to be whole, Naeon realized. Not by choosing one form of existence or the other, but by embracing both. The energy beings were quiet for a long time, communicating among themselves in ways the humans couldn't perceive. Finally, one voice spoke again, and this time it sounded different. Less cold, more uncertain. We believe the offspring was a failure because it could not be like us, the voice admitted. We did not consider that it might become something we could not imagine. We were afraid, another voice added. Afraid that accepting difference would make us weak. But difference made us stronger. Bitna's lights replied, made me complete. The biological forms did not try to change you, a third voice observed. They accepted you as you were, and helped you become more than you were. That's what families do, Naeon said simply. They love you for who you are and help you become who you're meant to be. We do not understand this concept of family, the energy beings admitted. Then maybe it's time you learned. Jiwoo suggested. Bitna's patterns became hopeful, showing the energy beings a vision of what could be possible if they open their minds to new ways of existing. Not everyone had to be the same to be valuable. Not everyone had to fit the same pattern to be worthy of love. We have much to consider, the energy beings finally said. We have been unchanged for millennia. Perhaps it is time to learn something new. The circle of lights began to move, but they didn't leave. Instead, they maintained their distance, waiting and watching, trying to understand what they had discovered in the small human ship, where their abandoned child had found a home. The revelation was just beginning. For 3 days, the energy beings remained near the human ship, observing and learning. They watched as Bitna helped Hyunwoo repair a damaged sensor array, its crystal fur interfacing directly with the technology in ways that amazed even its own kind. They saw how Nayeon and Bitna worked together in the medical bay, the aliens' healing abilities complementing the humans' knowledge to treat a minor injury that Jiwoo had sustained during routine maintenance. Most importantly, they witnessed the bond between Bitna and its chosen family. The love was obvious in every interaction, every gentle touch, every moment of shared joy and laughter. We do not understand, the energy beings finally communicated. Your species is primitive compared to ours. You live such brief lives. You are bound by physical limitations, yet you have accomplished something we could not. Which is? Jiwoo asked. You made our offspring happy, came the reply, and for the first time, there was something like wonder in the alien voices. Bitna moved to the center of the bridge and began creating one of its most beautiful displays. Yet this time, it wasn't just showing patterns or spelling out words. It was sharing emotions, letting its birth family feel what it felt when it was with the humans. The love, acceptance, and joy flowed through the light patterns, reaching across the void of space to touch the hearts of beings who had forgotten what it meant to care for someone who was different. We abandoned it to die, one of the energy beings said, and now there was something that sounded like regret in its voice. We believed we were being merciful, ending its suffering quickly. But we were wrong, another added. We caused the suffering by rejecting what we did not understand. Your offspring wasn't suffering because it was different, Nayeon said gently. It was suffering because it was alone and unloved. And now, the energy beings asked. Bitna's fur spelled out the answer in bright, happy letters. Now I am complete. Dr. Doyeon's voice came through the communication system again. If I may suggest something, he said carefully. What if this represents an opportunity for both our species to learn and grow? Explain, the energy beings requested. Bitna has become a bridge between energy-based and biological life, Doyeon continued. It understands both forms of existence in ways that neither of our species could achieve alone. That makes it incredibly valuable, not as a curiosity, but as a teacher and translator. You wish to keep our offspring, the energy beings said, but there was less accusation in their tone now. We wish to love and protect it, Jiwoo corrected. Dan, if you're willing to learn, maybe Bitna can help both our peoples understand each other better. Over the following hours, something remarkable happened. The energy beings began to ask questions. They wanted to know about human concepts of family, love, and acceptance. They were fascinated by the idea that strength could come from diversity rather than uniformity. For millennia, we believed that perfection meant sameness. One of them admitted, all of our kind exist in the same state, think in similar patterns, share the same abilities. We thought this made us superior. But you never grew, observed, you reached a perfect state and then stopped evolving. While Bitna, by being different, became something new and wonderful. Nayeon added. The energy beings spent long hours communicating with Bitna, learning about its experiences and abilities. They were amazed to discover that their rejected offspring had developed capabilities that none of their kind possessed. It can heal biological life, they marveled. It can interface with artificial technology. It can exist comfortably in both energy and matter states. These are not defects. These are gifts. We tried to tell you, Bitna's fur spelled out with gentle humor. Finally, the leader of the energy beings made a formal announcement. We have been wrong. We see now that our offspring is not defective but exceptional. It has evolved beyond what we thought possible. Does this mean you want to take Bitna back? Nayeon asked, fear creeping into her voice. No, came the surprising reply. We want to ask for forgiveness, and we want to propose something unprecedented in our history. The energy being's next words changed everything. We formally recognize the biological species you call humanity as equals, worthy of respect and friendship. You have accomplished something we could not. You saved one we had condemned and helped it become more than we ever imagined possible. We would like to establish formal relations between our peoples, another voice added, and we would like our offspring to serve as the first ambassador between our civilizations, if it is willing. Bitna's entire body blazed with joy, creating light patterns so beautiful that even the advanced energy beings were awed. I choose to stay with my human family, it spelled out, but I will gladly help our peoples become friends. This is unprecedented, Dr. Doyeon said over the communication link. First contact with an energy-based civilization, initiated not through displays of power or technology, but through an act of compassion. The energy beings established a permanent communication relay, allowing regular contact between their civilization and Earth. Bitna became the official translator and cultural ambassador, helping both species understand each other. We have learned something important. The energy beings said before they departed, strength does not always come from perfection. Sometimes it comes from accepting and nurturing what others might see as weakness. And we've learned something, too, Jiwoo replied. That intelligence and advancement don't automatically lead to wisdom. Sometimes wisdom comes from the heart. As the energy beings prepared to leave, they had one final message. We will tell our people about the humans who refuse to abandon the abandoned. Your species may be young and biological, but you possess something we had lost, the ability to see value where others see only failure. Thank you for teaching us what we could not learn on our own, they added. Thank you for saving our child and showing us what love truly means. Months later, Bitna had grown even larger and more vibrant. It had established regular communication between Earth and the energy beings' realm, leading to scientific and cultural exchanges that benefited both civilizations. Do you ever regret your choice? Nahyun asked one day as she watched Bitna help. Some visiting Earth scientists understand advanced energy manipulation techniques. Never. Bitna's fur replied immediately. I am exactly where I belong, with the people who loved me when I needed love most. Besides, it added with the light patterns that had become its equivalent of a smile. I have the best of both worlds now. I have my birth family's respect and my chosen family's love. The story of the alien puppy left to die had become the story of how compassion could bridge any gap, overcome any prejudice, and create connections that changed the universe itself. Bitna had been rescued just in time, but in saving it, the humans had saved something much larger, the possibility of understanding between species, built on the simple foundation of refusing to give up on those who others had written off. In the end, the greatest strength humanity could offer to the cosmos was not their technology or their cunning, but their stubborn, beautiful refusal to let anyone face their struggles alone. And that, more than any weapon or scientific advancement, had earned them the respect of beings far more advanced than themselves. The rescue was complete, but the adventure of friendship between the stars had only just begun.